Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Midnight Screening, the show where we plan the perfect movie night. I'll go for it. One film at a time. Today's film is Encino Man, or California Man, or whatever you want to call it. I'm your host, Nathan. Leads the username. Laying with me as always, I have my co-host Ty Hennessy.
All right, Nathan leads the username.
Nathan leads it. Yes, I
Nathan
messed
leads the
up twice.
username.
I
The
also said we
leading the
plan to
username.
plan the perfect plan the perfect movie night or whatever, and I'm
I'll
Nathan
let that
leads the
go.
username.
I'll let that go.
We're just
God.
gonna
Hi
we're just gonna keep
guys.
rolling.
Keep it
um,
rolling.
and
In
Josh
a
K could
minute.
not make it. Josh K could not make it
Hey,
today,
fanfare.
unfortunately. But as always, whenever that happens, we always manage to bring in a ringer. And today's is very exciting. We have Alan from I Finally Watched.
Hey guys, I am so excited to be here.
We're very excited to have you here.
We're going to talk about Encino Man.
Yeah. So it's Encino Man for you, right? That's what the movie's called.
Yeah, when you said or California Man, is that what they call it over yonder?
Yes,
Yes.
that's what it's called over here.
Yeah, I think that makes more sense because you guys know about our states, but like every subsidiary, every section within, it's not so common.
I think
Yeah.
it's the inverse of the Philosopher's Stone, Sorcerer Stone thing.
Yeah. Like
Right.
Where
We
yours made more
Americans
sense.
we Americans are too stupid to know what a philosopher is, and you guys are bad with geography, I guess is what they're saying in
yeah,
that.
we don't know where Encino is.
Speaking actually, like going right off that, I was speaking to someone and I said why it's called California Man, and they went, no, I know what Encino is, because at the start of the SpongeBob SquarePants movie, he says he's going to Encino. I'm like, oh my god.
Oh my god.
I feel like
That's it. They do.
Encino is something I would like. I'd recognize where that was because it is mentioned in a lot of movies. You know,
Yeah.
Well,
like I
well,
feel like they could have just called this Encino Man over here. No one would have been confused.
well, it's not like Encino is like the most popular place in all of America. So it's not the title would just make as much sense as it would over here.
Yeah.
I guess yeah. There's
Yeah.
yeah. There's an issue
It's just
in general with the yeah.
Yeah.
it's
I
Hollywood
think
assuming that people are stupid. That's all it
well,
is.
that's all of Hollywood.
Yeah, really.
That is very true. So the first thing to get out of the way, as always, is and we'll start with our guest. We'll ask our guest this question. Had you seen this film before? Is this like something you have a history with?
No, I have not seen this, even though I have heard of it, and it might have even played like on cable when I was younger, a long time ago, and I probably just skipped through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because Ty, I think you're the only person on our panel today who had seen this before.
Yes, I'm checking when it came out.
And it
That
came
looks
out
so
in my
dang
birth
good.
year. It came out in 1992.
It's
Yeah.
92.
Hey.
Oh, so it did. So I'm like 2 years younger than this.
Ah.
So yeah, yeah. I grew up watching this. Like it was California Man. It was Brendan Fraser.
Uh,
It was the epitome of my youth, essentially.
I was talking about this with my wife because we watched it together. And how many times does Brendan Fraser play a man out of time?
Oh wow. If we include the
yeah.
Mummy, George of the Jungle, um,
I
Looney
feel like
Tunes.
he does a lot of
Yes.
like rope swinging and things or beating his chest, yeah,
Uh, Even in
grunting at things.
Airheads.
Well, it's not like George
Airheads
of the
definitely.
Jungle. It's not like George of the Jungle is out of time. It's just he has to adapt to a certain society in that film, also.
Yeah.
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 Did he do Blast from the Past actually?
I think he
Is that
did.
Brendan Fraser? I usually have the letterbox page open. I didn't today for some reason.
Well,
Let me open it. Da-da-da-da-da-da.
That's
Brendan
from.
Fraser.
Oh, he did. Yeah.
That's from the.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah, that's from
that's
Blast.
the same premise, right? Where a guy from a
Oh,
different time
a
period
hundred
is
percent.
is. I
This
was
is.
I was thinking about
It's,
something similar because this is well last year I guess has been a big year for Brendan Fraser.
oh,
Where everyone's talking about what a great like actor he is, a great dramatic actor, which is really funny to me because the second you like Google Brendan Fraser's name and look down like just a little bit, the kind
yeah.
of movies Brendan Fraser used to do, is so funny.
Yeah. I mean, he was like one of our what forerunners in action stars with the Mummy
hmm
franchise, um, and then he fell off.
You know,
Yeah, leading
nearly died a
to
few times.
yeah, I think the you probably save it a little bit for when we eventually do the Mummy, but yeah, I think a lot of the like what happened with Brendan Fraser was because he did most of his own stunts on the Mummy,
Yeah.
and then just like really, I think he has like severe back problems now
Oh, that's right. That's right.
because yeah, a lot of the stunt work on especially the Mummy sequels were just not handled very well. Uh,
The diet as well.
this is, yeah, well this is pre like this is pre the Tom Cruise era of stunt work. You know, this is before there was like yeah, legitimate teams set up to make sure actors could do stunts.
Yeah.
One of the coolest things I ever saw in theater wasn't even a film, but it was when I went to go see Avatar 2, and there was this preview of the upcoming Mission Impossible, right?
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And it was showing this step by step process of executing this stunt with Tom Cruise. And Tom Cruise was like, "Yeah, so we're gonna do this and we're gonna do that," and he explained it to you, and it was an IMAX, so it was like it was this like 8 minute explanation of him going. Okay, so we're gonna get on the motorcycle. We're gonna jump off this ramp. We're gonna fall off this cliff, and then we're gonna parachute and hang glide to this point. And it's 8 full minutes of him explaining it to you, and then 30 seconds of him doing it, and I was like, that's the coolest shit I've ever seen.
Oh, I need to find that. That sounds amazing.
Why don't we get that stuff here?
Yeah, nothing. Yeah,
That's
every
bull.
time I talk to someone from America that's like, "This happened in a movie theater," I'm like, "Oh, we get exclusively this one clip of John Boyega telling us why cinemas are important."
Oh, you guys have John Boyega. We have Nicole Kidman.
Oh yeah, you've got the. I've seen the Nicole Kidman.
Oh,
That
that
is,
sounds better.
admittedly, no, the Nicole Kidman one is worse. It's so
Is
cringy.
it? Oh wow.
Yeah. Um,
Considering John Boyega is literally screaming at a green screen.
yeah, because if you're gonna listen to a story, you have to do it properly, which means no phones. I
we
hate when the cinema tells me why I should be in the cinema.
I always do the thing where if there's like a guy on his phone next to me, and then it's playing the please turn off your cell phone, whatever
Mhm.
message. I always look over to be like, you they're talking to you, buddy. Like, you get it? Like,
Give him a little shoulder nudge.
I once, I once, I think it was when the first Black Panther came out. I went to see it like opening week with Josh actually, who's usually on the show. And there was this woman right in front of us just texting through the whole movie. And like as a joke, I like nudged Josh and then pretended to throw a bit of popcorn, and then it slipped out my hand and hit her phone.
Slips through.
well, she got the point.
Yeah, so then I'm just like she's like turning around and I'm just like intently staring at the screen like I'm engrossed in the film. I haven't noticed anything happen.
Oh, okay, okay. I got a great story. So I'm watching. I think it's which Harry Potter was it? I'm with my whole family. And do you know those previews? They're not really common right now, but the previews where something is happening in the movie and then a cell phone goes off and it exposes the main character or something like that, and that's why they die or that's why they get shot at, or like it you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I have vague memories of that. Yeah.
Okay, so we're watching Harry Potter. It's at the very beginning of the movie, but we still thought it was the previews, and some guys hiding in a closet. I forget which Harry Potter it is. Some guys hiding in the closet, and Voldemort's snake hears him and like
Oh,
attacks him from the closet and kills him.
Goblet of Fire.
All right, it was Goblet of Fire. Okay. So my a cell phone goes off as the dude is hiding in the closet, and then it looks like the snake heard the cell phone, and that's why the snake went to go kill him.
That's amazing.
And we were so confused, and then we found out it was my mother's cell phone ring.
Oh my god.
That's so funny. I would argue though that's the only time like a phone ringing made the scene better.
Possibly, possibly.
100%.
That's correct.
That's actually
Um,
that's kind of what happened at the screening of Scream 5. Like Ghostface actually came up on screen like before the movie starts and was like, essentially, you know the rules. This and explains the rules of Scream, and then goes, yeah. Also, don't talk about the movie, or we'll find you. And I'm like, and me and my mate Kyle were like, okay. Yeah, that was awful. Just seeing Ghostface on screen, like we're gonna come and get you. It's like, okay, dead. I'm dead.
I think
no,
the Scream
hold on.
movies are one of the best I know when you guys originally, contacted me,
Mwah.
you were saying to do Scream, and I was like, oh, that's perfect because we've already done Scream, and I've watched it so many times since then. Basically have the whole movie memorized. I think it's just one of the
Mm,
strongest like horror franchises today.
Absolutely.
so
It's
good.
fantastic.
I love
The
Scream.
reason we're not doing Scream right now is just because we've pushed that episode back to correlate with the release of the next Scream a little nicer.
Which is in
Uh,
March. I'm going to see it.
uh, I mean, if you want, we can like I'm cool having you back on to do Scream.
Absolutely.
Oh, I mean, sure. Whatever you guys need. No, but this is great because Encino Man is not necessarily one that we would do on the channel, per se. But since I've never seen it, it's kind of a great opportunity to do a film that I've never seen that I would not
That
necessarily
was
watch on my own accord.
that was a part of my reasoning for choosing this film for this particular episode. Is yeah, I did kind of want to find something that was very in our ballpark, but not necessarily in yours. I thought that might be interesting. And there is another reason, and I want as did you guys catch on to why I wanted to do Encino Man now?
Wait.
No. What?
I'm
No.
gonna.
It's to do with the cast.
I'm gonna. It's not Sean Astin.
No,
It's not Brendan. Is it Brendan Fraser?
Brendan Fraser. Yes.
Is it because he did the whale?
Well, it's because the Oscars are coming up.
Oh, he's getting an Oscar for the whale, isn't he?
So we've got Brendan Fraser nominated for Best Actor, and there's another cast member in this movie up for an Oscar this year.
Pauly Shore.
Shore.
I wish that would be amazing.
I'm looking at
No,
the names.
Ki Hyun Kwan is in this movie.
Oh, the computer.
Oh,
Yep.
that's
No, we don't know.
right. That's right.
I'll be honest, I hadn't seen the movie when I picked this, so I wasn't quite aware how little screen time he has.
Very little. I could have told you, but you know.
Yeah, this movie has a little Goonies reunion in it as well.
Yeah, that was Ashley's point.
Yeah,
She was
there are
like,
two
oh.
Goonies in this movie.
She was
It's
like,
insane that if I. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
it was literally just she saw Sean Astin and she went, oh, he's from the Goonies. I went, it's Samwise Gamgee, woman. And then obviously, I'm not going to brutalize his name. Other guy.
No, it's what Bill from Stranger Things.
Don't you even know where you live? I'll come and kick you in the bollocks. I swear to
Wait,
God.
he did more things outside of Stranger Things. I didn't know.
Can't quite get to you, lad, but I could get to Nathan.
Ty just hops on a plane. Take that back about Sean Astin.
I'll bring Sean Astin with me so he can cry.
No, but
You also have to go get Sean Astin.
He's doing that show with The Rock right now, right?
oh, which one?
And I
He's in
could
he's
not tell
in
what Sean
he's in
Astin's
Young
doing.
Rock.
You mean Young Rock?
Yeah.
What?
He's Dwayne Johnson's high school bully. It's really funny.
That
Then
sounds
he
good.
said that Dwayne Johnson was his high school bully. It's like, oh, Dwayne Johnson, no, he's nice.
Everything I hear about Young Rock that doesn't make sense to me.
Why have I never heard of this film?
It's a TV show. It's
Okay.
essentially
Why have
based
I
around
never heard of this TV show?
Dwayne Johnson is running for president in like 2030 something. And then he starts telling his story of like growing up with his dad, Soul Man Rocky Johnson. And I'm a massive wrestling fan. I watched wrestling all the way up until it got awful. And I pretty much started during like pretty much the Attitude Era of wrestling, and that's when a lot of the guys, so like Stone Cold Steve Austin, Sergeant Slaughter, Jake the Snake Roberts, all those guys. So for a wrestling fan, it was great. And yeah, it's essentially depicting his life as like a young boy, a teenager, a young adult, and then like his entry into like the WWF, which is what the WWE used to be. Like meeting Vince McMahon. So yeah, and then it comes out this one guy tweets Dwayne Johnson saying that he used to be like the high school bully, like the middle school bully or something like that. And he's like, and Dwayne's like, hold up, this guy used to bully me. And yeah, so it was Sean. It turns out it was Sean Astin.
Oh my god.
If
You know
you-
what's funny about this cast is that if I watched it back when it came out or when I was younger, I wouldn't watch it, in the first year I was born, but you see what I mean. But if I watched it back in the mid to late 90s, I would have no idea who like the top 6 billing of these cast members were. But now, since I've watched a bunch of media and going back and now watching Encino Man, it's like Robin Tooney is from the show The Mentalist. Rose McGowan is from Charmed, and then Michael DeLewis is from Gilmore Girls. All the shows that I've loved and watched many times over, and to see them in this light, like to see them playing these characters, is so funny to me.
Yeah. Which one's Michael DeLewis again?
That's I get that.
Michael DeLewis is the bully.
Sorry, I know him from Wayne's World. Didn't know he was in Gilmore
Oh,
Girls.
Wayne's World.
That's where you've
He is in Wayne's World, yes.
The bully. He's in Gilmore Girls.
Yeah.
Apparently. Lan just told me. Does he play in Gilmore Girls?
He plays TJ. He plays the brother-in-law of Luke. So he marries Luke's sister.
TJ, the brother-in-law of Luke. Marries Luke's sister. Got him. Here we go. She's like, I know that guy's face. I'm like, you seen Wayne's World, right? Yeah, he's in Wayne's World. No, it was Gilmore Girls.
God, that's a good show.
I've watched bits. It's fine.
I've never seen Gilmore Girls.
It's one of those shows that I just was really apprehensive of, and I sat down on Netflix and just watched through the whole thing, and I was like, this is just a really charming show.
Yeah. It's easy to watch as well.
But
Okay, if we're gonna discuss the cast of this movie, though, I feel like we have to talk about the stuttering elephant in the room
The
that will
Pauly Shore.
make or break your appreciation of this film. Yeah,
Pauly Shore,
Pauly
yeah.
Shore.
Why'd you have to bring him up, man?
So you were both born. because we're talking about Encino Man.
I don't care. We've been talking about the good bits of Encino Man, Nathan. You just have
I
to
think
bring
we
me
can
down.
make it an hour without
Because you
mentioning
love
the
Pauly
star of the
Shore.
movie, Pauly
Because
Shore.
you love Pauly
I
Shore.
can't stand.
You love
I
him.
cannot stand
You have
Pauly
a
Shore.
photo of him. You
This is my
kiss
question.
every night. Okay, thanks.
I cannot stand Pauly Shore at all.
Liar.
But I do wonder. And I have a I wish I could have found like if I could find like a big movie nerd who was like a teenager in the 90s, I have to grill them on this because I don't. It's not just that I don't find Pauly Shore like personally funny. I don't understand what the joke is with Pauly Shore.
Okay. So
Can you explain to me what Pauly Shore is?
this is a bigger topic that I wanted to bring up earlier. Is that what
Mm.
do you guys from your country think of Americans? And then is Encino Man a good representation of what your idea of Americans would be like in the 90s? Because I
Oh,
feel
wow.
like Polly Shore, I know, big question, but I feel like Polly Shore is a good representation of a certain sector, but a very specific one. So from I don't like Polly Shore either. Like Biodome is such a horrible movie. It's one of those like so bad I love to watch it sort of films.
Yeah.
Um, and especially with Baldwin and Polly Shore, it's just like, oh, what can you think of a more despicable duo than those two actors, right? But in saying that, I kind of love Polly Shore in a Goofy movie.
Because
That was gonna my answer to your question about like our perception of like Americans in the 90s. I was gonna say Pauly Shore does fit into mine exclusively because I think all my childhood knowledge of America in the 90s came from a Goofy movie.
Cheese whiz,
Yeah.
sustenance.
Which is, yeah, I agree with you. The one film I tolerate Pauly Shore in because it is a cartoon.
Well, yeah,
So
yeah.
him doing the voice and the whatever, like it fits that world more than it fits
yeah.
like him just being a guy, you
Well,
know?
one thing is when you have a movie like Biodome where he's just kind of horrible in it, is that I feel like Encino Man kind of makes Pauly Shore somewhat a likable character, a little bit.
Hmm.
For me at least. I was watching this thinking the same as you, like, oh man, Pauly Shore, god damn. I was like, why are these guys making me watch this movie with Pauly Shore in it? But then as I go through the movie and like Stony is getting his character arc, I was like, oh man, you know what? I actually really like this character that he's playing. Even though it's like it's similar to like all the other characters he's playing, but this one has some growth to him, you know?
I mean, everyone,
He gets to do that final monologue about being a good person and whatever. Yeah.
everyone knew a
Yeah.
Stoney
Which is like
in high school. Can I say that?
Oh,
Everyone knew a Stoney in high school. Like a guy that's exactly like Stoney. Maybe not like dialogue and stuff like that,
yeah.
but like acts exactly like it's just pretty much mates with everyone. Yeah.
The can we
yeah,
also mention like the really good comedic cues, not from Sean Astin, not from Brendan Fraser, not from Pauly Shore, but from the parents,
Mm.
Mr. and
yeah.
Mrs. Morgan. It's just like their dialogue and their like one-liners are so fun. Like when the dad is like, "Well, I know we're feeding everyone in the neighborhood, but you know," it's like I was like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
fun of
god,
a
that's
Stoney
so
as
funny."
well. Yeah.
Yeah. There's something about how nothing their reactions to a lot of stuff is that is actually really funny. Like it's a really good comedic idea. Like yeah, that whole scene where they've like trashed the kitchen and his parents come home. And they like initially have like a big reaction to it, but then the way they get around it is like, oh, we have a foreign exchange student with us,
Yeah.
and that seems to be okay. Like, oh yeah, makes sense.
So I remember signing that paper. No, no, you don't. You're lying.
Yeah.
Are you lying?
No, it's actually one of the funniest scenes in the movie, and it's not even like because of our three main characters.
Mm.
No, yeah, yeah, it's the setup and concept, and then yeah, the execution from the actors playing Sean Astin's parents is great. That's my favorite type of comedic acting is when you do something comedic but acted if you're in a dramatic role. That is
Oh yeah.
that is the funniest way to deliver any piece of comedic dialogue.
That is Chris
You
Evans
know,
in the Scott Pilgrim. There you go. Boom. Done.
Chris Evans and Scott Pilgrim. I thought you were gonna say Chris Evans in Not Another Teenage Movie.
Oh, not a teen movie. I
Yeah,
weirdly
Not
love
Another
that
Teen
movie.
Movie.
I weirdly love that movie.
It's so funny. It's so messed up. Like
Oh,
you couldn't get away with the jokes now,
no
but
chance.
yeah.
Yeah.
Token black guy? Nope.
to be
Nope.
yeah, to be fair, you also couldn't get away with the stuff they're making fun of from the movies they're making fun of now. So
Oh, no way. No way.
it kind of loops back around to being kind of all right again in a way.
Spoof movies
I
always have
feel
that
like
issue, though.
yeah, that's true. After I watched Scream a couple years ago when we did it for the podcast, I put on Scary Movie just for fun. And I was like, oh man, the detriment about Scary Movie is that, and what's really funny about Scary Movie and Scream in particular is that the screams keep getting better and the scary movies kept getting worse.
100%.
And it's because they don't hold up. It's because the jokes that they make in the parodies are just,
Yeah.
they try to fit too much every time.
Do you...
You can also see them with the Scary Movie. I think they're quite often reaching to find a joke that's funnier than the joke that's already there in Scream,
Yeah.
which is already a very funny, clever movie.
Well, because Scream in and of itself is satirical to a point.
Yeah, like
yeah.
that's my issue with Scary Movie is they've in a lot of scenes already been beaten to the best version of the punchline by the film they're trying to skewer.
I think a perfect example of that is when Rose McGowan tries to fit through the doggy door of the garage.
Yeah.
Right. And in Scream, she's always like very self-obsessed person, and she's always like minded about her weight and everything.
Yeah.
And then that comes to her detriment where she can't fit through the door, right? And then she dies because of that. But in the parody, she is so heavy she breaks the garage door down.
Yeah.
But I was like, that works. That's adding to the joke. But then I feel like in the future, when they just go like they're trying to set up a funny joke and then they go so left field where it just doesn't make sense anymore, that's where they fail.
Oh, of course. You know how Scary Movie came to be?
The concept or the title or
The whole thing.
oh no, how?
So, Nathan actually told me this. I'm kind of going to steal it for you, Nathan. Correct me if I get anything wrong. So essentially,
Well, I mean, I stole it from just a thing that happened.
so Scream was originally titled Scary Movie, and then it was Matthew Lillard saying it's going to be a Scream that made them change the title,
You scream, baby.
and then the Wayans brothers bought the script for Scary Movie, scrapped everything, and went, "We're going to spoof it," and just kept the title.
Well, that's the reason that Scary Movie became Scream was because there was a script called Scary Movie that was being optioned at the time by what are their names? The least funny men in Hollywood.
I'm not saying the Wayans
that
brothers.
could be
Give me a
anyone.
second to Google. Not the Wayans brothers. The other two,
Least-
Jason Freeberg and Aaron Seltzer,
Oh.
the guys that did like Disaster Movie and Epic
Right.
Oh,
Movie
those
and
guys,
whatever
right.
later. They had a movie they were writing called Scary Movie. So what the Wayans did was buy that script and then rewrite the whole thing.
Ah.
But that's why if you look at the credits of Scary Movie, there's 5 credited writers because they had to credit Freeberg and Seltzer, which is how all those really, really bad parody movies ended up getting financed because they could write from 2 of the writers of Scary Movie.
That makes sense, sadly. Yeah.
So if you've ever wondered why they kept churning those things out after Scary Movie, that's why, because legally the writers were just allowed to lie about their contribution to a pretty good movie.
Oh, that's so funny. I was gonna ask you guys this is that we have like stoner movies here in America, like
Yep.
Harold and Kumar is a really good example of a stoner movie,
Mm-hmm.
and even to a certain degree, Encino Man is a little bit of a stoner movie without actually having like marijuana in it.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah,
I'm
well,
pretty
his name is
sure
literally Stony.
I was gonna say I'm pretty sure Pauly Shore is just constantly high, but
100%.
Yeah.
do you guys have kind of like an equivalent of that, or do you call them, stoner movies too?
We
I don't know if
our
we
stoner movies are American
do.
stoner movies. So
Yeah.
Oh,
we
really?
so
Yeah.
we
So
watched
if you
like
mentioned a stoner
we watched
movie,
like How High, Mac and Devin Go to High School, Friday, Car Wash, stuff like that. We watched yeah.
I think the issue might be the difference in the American and British attitude to drugs.
Yeah.
Uh, because I think the closest you're gonna get from our side of the pond is like train spotting, you know,
And that's about
like
heroin. So
yeah, like I think yeah, we're
Well,
an all or nothing kind of
yeah.
country.
well, you know what's funny is that arguably the more legal we make drugs here in America, the worse our stoner films are going to be because it doesn't make any
No,
sense.
of course.
The comedy elements aren't there anymore,
Yeah.
But then we have Breaking Bad, which deals with meth. So boom, there you go.
That's true. You guys do have break.
Scotland really focuses on like the I don't want to say gang problems, but like Scottish films are either these are a bunch of junkies that do a bunch of stuff, or these are a bunch of wee idiots that like to fight. That's generally where
I guess
Scotland go.
we've got Angel
Oh,
Share,
Angel Shit, which is about
which
whiskey.
is whiskey.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, I think that's probably our closest
alcohol, fighting, or
equivalent.
heroin. That's
It's a bit
where Scottish
trying to
boys go.
score because Angel shares a comedy, lighthearted comedy, but trying to score a lot of whiskey.
Angel Share is a
Is that
gorgeous
hard to
film.
come by in
Um,
Scotland?
it's because it's like expensive.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
So what is the plot again? Because there's always a bit of
they
whiskey
have
that's
it.
like when you distill it, it goes into the
They
atmosphere.
were
They
trying.
got the Angel
They were trying to
Share.
find Angel
So
Share
they're
whiskey.
trying to get they're trying to get that whiskey and bottle that, so they can have free
I
whiskey.
actually found
Oh
Angel
my
Share
God.
at Sex.
Like I think I've got it somewhere in here. Maybe my
I have
dad's.
it.
We should probably do. We should do a Scottish film at
Why
some point.
is
That'd be
why is this being stupid?
make sense. It's weird that we haven't.
Why is
Um,
Letterboxd being stupid?
yeah, my letterbox isn't working right now either. I think the site might be
Screw
down.
it. I'll Google it. So yeah, like Scottish films are very talking about the glorious battles of William Wallace, and we're going to hire an Australian boy to do it. About
I
drugs or
think
fighting.
particularly something like Encino Man, particularly. I don't think would be made over here for the simple reason of like it's a very to me American comedy concept to come up with like like a proper premise, like elevator pitch type premise, and then just do a comedy instead. Do you know what I mean? So like Encino Man's a film about like we defrosted a caveman. But then instead of like being about what would happen if you defrosted a caveman, it's like then we went to high school and we did a bunch of teen comedy jokes instead. I don't think I can think of an equivalent over here. I don't think those kind of films get made.
No.
Well, like if you think about the simplicity of not only that film, but like a film like Harold and Kumar, is that those dudes just want a burger from White Castle,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, okay, they go from point A to. It's kind of like Lord of the Rings, right? It's like this group of friends want to go from point A to point B, but then it's the things that happen to them along the way.
Yeah. No, it's like dude, where's my car?
I've never heard that comparison.
The comparison to Lord of the Rings
Uh,
and Harold and Kumar.
Lord of the Rings, Harold and Kumar, but you've nailed it. That
100%.
I have no
Yeah,
notes.
we're our movies like that are just genuinely American movies. I don't think
I love that sort of fact that we don't have much of a film industry,
No,
really. Not right now.
genuinely, I can name like 5 Scottish movies off the top of my head.
It's getting better again. Like we're getting more indie stuff off the ground, which is nice. But like even at that, the biggest like Scottish, like proper Scottish film of last year was After Sun, and that was filmed in.
So it
Uh,
was.
why have I forgotten where that film was
Is it not
filmed?
Edinburgh?
Oh,
I just
I need
watched
to
it recently.
see that.
No, because it's about them going on holiday. So it's filmed in like Greece or something.
I was thinking that there was a Scottish film that I was watching, but it wasn't. It was British. It was done by Martin McDonough.
What was the movie?
Butchering that. In Bruges.
Oh, right. That's
Ah, that's it.
they're pretty sure it's Irish, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, McDonough's
Because
an
it's
Irish filmmaker.
Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell.
It's actually it's Belgium.
But yeah, the film's set in Belgium. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Brendan Gleeson and Colin Farrell.
Yeah. Two lovely Irishmen.
But
Also relevant to this year's Oscar run. You've got Colin Farrell up for Banshees of Inisherin.
oh, guys, so good.
Very good film. Very good film.
So good. But you know what? That was what is that? Is that Irish or is that
It's an Irish film as well. Yeah,
it's
I think it's
Irish?
also Mermaid on it.
Yeah, Irish, Ireland, coast of Ireland. Yeah, but I mean, thinking of like a European movie. We did a movie called Stoker a couple weeks ago. I don't know if either of you have ever seen it, heard of it.
Is that not about Bram Stoker?
I know the film you're made.
What? Say?
Is that about Bram Stoker? Writer?
No. That's what I thought too when I first watched it. No, it's just about it's hold on. Basically, you've heard of Old Boy, right? That Korean film.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's directed by Park Chan-wook, who's a Korean director. But he did an American film called Stoker, which is about a young woman psychopath who's kind of trained by her older uncle's psychopath to be really like a simplistic telling of synopsis of that story. But it's a Korean director who's all his life has done Korean films, who then does his American film, and it's so good. Like he brings all of his tropes, but it's American. And then you have Martin McDonough, who's done Banshees of Inisherin in Bruges, but then he did 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, which I feel like is an amazing American film.
Ethan
But
loves
he's
that
not
movie.
American; he's British. So it's
I do love that
these
movie. Yes.
it's these like foreign to me, but foreign directors doing American movies, and I feel like you get this very new sort of cinema.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I don't
Well, I
know
was
where I
gonna say
was
you don't.
going with this, but yeah.
Well, you don't tend to see it going the other way, and I think it is just that 99% of the film industry is in America, so, or at least that we see. Um,
Yeah, that's true too.
so yeah, you don't tend to have. I very quickly added the that we see in there, so no one tweets me about how massive Bollywood is.
Yeah.
Well, not only Bollywood, but England, they have a huge film industry too, I feel like.
And so yeah, the UK's film industry it's getting there again. It was a lot bigger, 20, 30 years ago, but there's been a couple things happened recently where money has been actually made on stuff, so that's made some people loosen the purse strings and allow people to make things again. So yeah.
Yeah. There you go. There you go.
I mean,
Maybe-
probably because of Paddington.
Oh, Paddington. Yeah, from Paddington.
All the money those Paddington movies made has supported our film industry for the next 20 years. Like,
So if
What?
let's say Where in Scotland are you guys from?
Edinburgh.
We're Edinburgh
Yeah.
boys, yeah.
Edinburgh. So if it was like if a movie was made and it was Edinburgh men and how would that go? How would you think that would go?
Dogs.
Um,
Train spotting.
well, that's it. I can only think. I can only think of one off the top of my head, and it's Train Spotting. So,
And now,
No,
um,
no. I'm sorry. I
like,
meant with the same premise of Encino Man,
oh,
but
right.
oh,
in your town. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
that's a really good
He would stay
question.
frozen because it's cold as
Oh,
shit out here.
yeah, no one's building a
No, no one's
pool
building a pool.
to start with. Um, but no, yeah, if I was with like two like burnout high
No,
schoolers
Stoney's the burnout.
found a
Stoney's the
caveman,
burnout. Like,
yeah,
John's
Sean Astin's
used
like a
to
nerd,
trying to
just a
finish high
typical
school
nerd.
strong. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
I don't know where that would go. There would be more, um, yeah, there'd probably be more jokes about alcohol and parties and things. I think it's
100%.
more of a. There'd be a scene where they were There'd be a scene where they were drinking in a field
Yeah, so instead of him
with
wanting to
their.
become like prom king by the end of the movie, it would be like, "Hey, let's score at this party" or something like
You're,
that.
Well, yeah, we don't
oh,
have
you have
prom
head boy
kings.
and head girl in high school, which is a
Yeah, which
which
no
is a
one
year
wants.
long thing. If you're head boy, they do what you do.
No one wants to be it anyway. At least that was my
So
experience.
so so in your adaptation, Sean Astin is well on his way of being head boy, and he's doing everything in his willpower to
Not
get out
be.
of it.
That'd
Yeah,
be it. Yeah, he'd actually be like the way that our high schools work. He'd be top of the food chain in terms of he'd get to do the most
yeah. You get
stuff.
to make the announcements and
So
stuff.
yeah, his way of getting cooler. Yeah, his way of being cooler would be to be worse.
Yeah,
Like go down the pecking order probably. Yeah,
and then
Well, see, that's
Polly Shore would teach him the
yeah,
cutlass.
Matt's character would be like the school hard lad, like that had like 2 fights in first year, and nobody messes with him because he's hard and he's from a hard family. That's Matt's character, 100%.
Yeah, his dad's a
Like, didn't mess with him
bricklayer.
because he's like 3 big brothers and like 4 cousins will come to school and batter you. Like, that's essentially what it is.
oh my god. Now I want to watch this movie.
I want to make this movie.
Also, the insults would fly a lot more than usual. Like, for like, we had foreign exchange students in our school, and it was a weird, like, all the guys kind of reacted to the guys like kind of halfway between like accepting them and mad. Like, you kind of just looked at them like, fucking mad, because like we had foreign exchange students that were Italian. Um, I thought, wait, what was that? Fifth year? It was fifth year, and then in Scotland we do a thing called social dancing, which is instead of doing PE and playing football and soccer, and hockey and stuff like that, we'll just dance for like 6 weeks, and it's the worst thing ever if you're like me in high school. Essentially, the girls would like flick their sleeves out so you couldn't touch their hands. That was first year of high school. Get a bit more mature.
Oh my
But
god.
as soon as you're in like your prime of like these girls are going to actually want to hold hands and dance, these fucking Italian boys come in looking tan and looking just better than all of us. And what they could
There were
all
some who always
they could
taller
all
than
they could
everyone.
all just
Like,
dance. Like we were standing looking at them going, you
So
fucker.
actually, well, okay, so actually, that's exactly what happened in Encino Man.
that
Is
is
that
actually.
yeah? Is
It
that Brendan
takes
Fraser
over.
is just taller and better looking than Sean
Yeah,
Astin,
Yeah,
everyone.
and stole his girl basically.
that would happen in Edinburgh Man, except
For a man.
yeah, it would be they'd teach him to
Dude,
Highland
it would
dance, and
never.
then
It wouldn't even be Edinburgh
yeah,
man.
and then he's the best at
Instead
Highland
of like
dancing.
I don't even know what he was doing, like some sort of hip hop crunking
Oh,
with those guys.
no, that would never happen. Those boys,
Yeah,
if those guys existed in Scottish schools, those would be metalheads. No one talks to the metalheads because they might bite you.
Yeah, you can't
It's those
put.
guys.
This is something I've noticed about American movies, and I don't know if it is a thing in like American high schools, but in real life. But American movie bullies put way too much effort into bullying.
Oh yeah. Well, see, I have a
Like when he
theory.
like,
I have a theory that so at one point, because the movies have been made and the stereotype has been represented in film, that I'm sure bullies have been exactly like that. But now I feel like because nerd culture is so glorified
Mm,
in today's world,
yeah,
yeah.
that that the nerds and the geeks are almost like the cool kids. And so when you have a jock bully, it's you I have a theory that you only have a jock bully in real life is because they're taking cues from older
Mm,
films.
I
hmm
wish I'd went to high school when like being
I can
being
see
a
that.
nerd was
Yeah,
cool. I wish I
well,
was.
that was like genuinely happening. I remembered like the
Oh,
shift slowly happening while I was at
because
high school.
I'd be so well liked at high
Like,
school.
well, a lot of it was to do with the
Hundred
MCU,
percent.
like
Yeah.
the MCU taking off, because like when I started high school in like 2013, and there was like people in my class that thought I was like weird for liking Marvel stuff and watching the Marvel movies and reading comics and stuff. And then by the time I graduated, half my conversations with people were because they would come up to me and be like, "I just saw the trailer for Black Panther. What is a Black Panther? Can you? What did he do?" Like,
So to give you a
um,
little bit of context,
yeah, and get me like kept
I
happening.
Man, I'm old.
I
So I graduate. Oh, go
no, no,
ahead.
I was literally I'm going to make your point as well. I graduated the year before Nathan actually started high school. So
I think I
I have
did
a
too.
whole
I
high
think I
school
did
year.
too.
So I'm like 2 years younger than you. So yeah.
Yeah, so I graduated. Let's see, I graduated college in 2015. So then I graduated. So I graduated high school in 2011.
So literally like a year before me, yeah.
Yeah, and I think the MCU. Well, see, the issue is that it, when you had like comic books is such like a nerd aspect of society, and then you have the MCU, which is kind of bringing it to mainstream. Um, the sectors of like nerds got together to like geek out, is that that group only just became larger because it had people who would never be interested in it
Mm,
started suddenly being interested in it, much to your
yeah.
point. And then it's like, well, now we need a new group of people to make fun of.
See, now it's the nerds making fun of the jocks because they're toxic. It's completely flipped,
Kind
yeah.
of,
Well,
actually, a little bit.
yeah, I've seen that quite a bit. If someone's like way too into sports, like, and it's really funny to me because it's the same hypocrisy going the other way. Like I remember saying, like when I was in like first year, saying to my friends like, "Isn't it weird that like if I'll go to a convention and put on like a Mario hat, you know, to be part of the thing, then that's like a weird niche thing to do. But if someone wants to go to like a football game and wear the
Yeah,
t-shirt,
that's okay.
you know, like wear a strip to a game they're
Yeah.
not playing, that's normal. Um, but like that's so hypocritical. But like it's genuinely, I've seen it go the other way, where people have been like, yeah, kids have been really into their football team or whatever, and someone's been like, yeah, more nerdy kids are like, oh, that's so lame. Why would you, like, why would you go in that and do that and
And they're
waste your
like wearing
time with?
necromancy cloak and going, seriously, I'm going to go play D&D now. Like, it is that as
That's it.
well.
Yeah, they're wearing Rick and
Rise of
Morty merch
D&D,
or
the
something.
rise of
Like,
Dungeons and Dragons over the last, like, sorry, the
Yeah,
more
that's yeah.
popularity of Dungeons and Dragons.
yeah.
That one
They,
we can call a Stranger Things thing. That one was
If
Stranger Things.
you,
you know what? I'll even do you one better. I think it started with Community. I don't know if you've ever seen
Ethan's a
Community.
massive fan.
Oh no, that's a very good. That's my favorite show.
Oh, it's amazing. It's an amazing show. And the thing, like the D&D episodes is so good, and I think that was like a good introduction to people who didn't know what it was and then watched the Community episode and they were like, "Okay, now I have somewhat of an idea."
I think the point we've shifted to is since we started with what would happen if we did Encino Man but in Edinburgh.
Right.
I think this conversation moves into Encino Man today. Like if you were to remake
Yeah.
Encino Man,
Ooh.
like it would be very different. Very different in terms of some of the very 1992 elements
Oh, yeah.
regarding
So do we still
women.
keep the location? Do we still keep like the cavemen being thought out? Like all that is the same. It's just the high school
I think
dynamic is
Yeah.
different.
yeah, I think we keep it. Yeah, if it was still in Encino, and it was still Brendan Fraser's a caveman, or I mean, probably not Brendan Fraser because he's
Shut up. It's still Brendan Fraser.
slightly edged out the role.
Love that man.
I just think who is our Brendan Fraser? That's
Mm,
step one, right?
Oh, of today?
mm.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I think you've also got to remember that like we love Brendan Fraser now. The world loves Brendan Fraser. That wasn't necessarily the
Shut
opinion
up,
at the
Nathan. You
time,
weren't there. Everyone loved Brendan Fraser.
which makes me like wonder if it's everyone I'm thinking of is slightly too famous for this era of Brendan Fraser, but I'm thinking like a Chris
Ugh.
Pratt.
Ugh.
But Chris Pratt is so old.
Chris
See,
Pratt is older, yeah.
And the
Could it be
problem
Tom
is
Holland?
we're looking.
the issue is
I'm
go
saying
ahead.
we're looking more like Chalamet Holland age.
Yeah, exactly. Which is crazy because those two seem so young to me. But looking at Brendan Fraser in Encino Man, he seems like a
Yeah.
man, you know?
I think a lot of that is to do with Chalamet being like a tiny little man.
And Tom
You know,
Holland just being like 20.
Yeah, but
Chalamet is the height of a Ken doll. Like
Oh my god. Alright, let's recast California Man.
but like I feel like Brendan Fraser's built like a football player
Mm.
in this, you know? And so you'd have to pick someone who has like a kind of a dork face. Like a not a dork face, but like a lovable face, but who's also like who could pull
Bigger
off being
guy,
a
yeah.
prehistoric caveman.
Austin Butler.
I hate you, you're
Austin
right.
Butler is
I
actually
hate that
not
you're
bad.
right with that.
It's not
Oh, you
bad.
suck, Nathan.
I think that's the
Oh,
right answer. I think it's
Oh,
Austin
God.
Butler.
it's fucking Austin Butler. Oh my god.
And then of course I think to keep with theme, Sean Astin's character has to be played by one of the kids from
See, I was
Stranger
just
Things.
thinking,
Because Stranger Things
kid,
is the new
who's the
Goonies.
kid who
Yes.
can like put his
Yeah.
shoulders together in front of him?
Yeah,
Oh,
him.
Caleb,
Yeah, Caleb, that one.
Very good.
I gave up. I
That was from
gave
Sean
up.
Astin's character.
Kale.
No, it's Gatton Matarazzo. Matarazzo. Gatton Matarazzo. There it is.
Can't matter. I got
Okay.
none of that name right.
Polly Shore.
That's the hard
and
one.
then Pauly Shore. No. It's just
Looking
It's
at my
just Pauly
DVD
Shore
cover,
again.
I'm looking at my DVD, and Polly Shore just looks like a 40-year-old man who just failed high school that many times.
Oh yeah, Pauly Shore always looked 40. Like
Oh, Polly Shore. Who'd play Polly Shore now?
right, well,
I
this is
am
the hardest one.
I'm actually really loving this cast that we have going on.
Matthew
Yeah, I'd see
Lillard
this movie.
play Polly Shore.
Okay, Matthew
Matthew Lillard.
Lillard.
Oh
my
no, no, no.
gosh. And that's our Rose McGowan connection right there.
Hey, yeah.
Okay. Matthew-
I feel like we're running into the problem of they don't make like a lot of comedies as much nowadays. It's less of a like a thing
It definitely is.
to be like a comedy actor.
No, it 100% is. I mean, you just don't
Pete
get
Davidson.
No.
Pete Davidson. Oh
No.
my god.
I think that's the best I
My
can
thoughts.
think of.
My thoughts
Pete
is lean
Davidson.
towards Rogan and Apatow's mates.
They're all
like
too
some of them
old.
look
Yeah,
young.
they're
though.
all too old.
Like what's his name? One in Knocked Up who had the Canada sign on his chest. I was in Sorcerer's Apprentice. Jay
Jay
Baruchel.
Baruchel? Yeah, Jay Bar. You're not convincing modern day Jay
No.
Baruchel is
No,
in high
but
school.
you know what's funny though is that if you think of a movie like Superbad and then you just add a caveman into it, you have Encino
100%.
Man.
Yeah,
You have a modern day Encino
absolutely.
Man.
Not even modern day stoner movies anymore.
No,
Oh,
I
that's
mean,
it. There's not a lot of.
but there can't be because weed's legal in America now practically. So it's like you don't have the same
You know what? Here we
vibe
go.
anymore.
He's as
There was
annoying. Let's go Michael Cera.
Michael Cera.
again. Michael
He's
Cera, I
annoying
think
though.
again is too old. Michael Cera
I
was
know.
in
He
Superbad.
always looks young.
Like, he's
You
always
need
like
a
young, but not
young
like that
stoner
young.
looking guy who'd get away with that hair.
It's the best you're gonna get is Pete Davidson. That's the only like stoner comedian that we have anymore. The only stoner movie of like the last 10 years is King of Staten Island
Yeah, with Pete Davidson. The
with Pete
funny
Davidson.
the funny thing is that it's like I feel so disconnected because I don't know any of the younger actors very well. Like the mainstream ones, sure, but like you're like, oh, who's the main character in Outer Banks? I don't fucking know. I
No.
don't know Outer Banks. You know,
I'm with you on that one. Yeah.
Mm. No.
it's just I feel so
You,
disconnected from like the young actors.
I do think
Oh,
with
I got it. I got it. Okay, it's such a pull from Stranger Things, but it's the Argyle guy, the pizza stoner guy from Stranger
yeah.
Things.
Oh, of course. Who plays the same, just like Pauly Shore plays the same character in everything
Ethan
he's ever
Help, who
been.
is he?
Um, what is his name? I'm gonna Google that one.
Oh, uh,
He was in Booksmart as well.
Eduardo Franco.
Eduardo Franco. That's it.
But like
Yes.
them
So
two
Um,
pulling up next to Austin Butler is hilarious to me.
I think the
okay, who's Robin Ward? Who's
which character is
Robin?
Robin again?
The main
Oh yeah.
Millie Bobby
Uh,
Brown.
this is just strange. It's just Stranger Things.
And I fucking knew that was coming. I fucking knew that was coming. I saw the blonde hair. I'm like, he's going to say Millie Bobby Brown. Millie Bobby Brown. I
Well,
knew it.
the thing is that I mean,
Ah,
you know what's crazy is that
Don't
when
talk
when
anymore.
I was little,
Don't do this
I loved to
anymore.
watch Grease, and it was just like such a
pretty right.
a wrong understanding of what high schoolers are supposed to look like. They're not supposed to look like 40-year-old men, and I didn't know
Oh,
that, right? So I thought like, oh, in like an 8-year time,
yeah.
I'll have so much hair on my chest, and 5 o'clock shadow always, right? And but I feel like this movie is kind of like that too. It's like
Yeah.
everyone who plays a high schooler in Encino Man is like at least the youngest 25 years old, you know. And out of everyone,
Oh yeah.
The guy who plays
out
Matt
of
is a
Brendan Fraser,
full-grown
Sean
man.
Astin, and Pauly Shore was the oldest one on the movie.
Mhm.
It shows.
And it shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
But again, I can see Pauly Shore having been born 47. Like he's always had like midlife crisis at
But
like
that see
era to him.
that's the thing is that he is you can't put him in anything outside of Cheese Whiz sustenance, you know? Unless you want him to play.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his thing. And that's like when I say it like it's not even that like I don't like him or I don't think he's funny. I don't understand it because I don't understand how
See, that
pausing
is
while
the whole
talking is the
joke.
joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Especially with Buff.
that's the whole joke, and it's several movies.
Yeah, but that's
like
the main joke in this movie. Like they even point it
Yeah.
out, you know, like
I think there's
I don't
a
get that one either, my friend. I'm in the same boat with you.
Yeah, it doesn't make
I'm so
sense.
glad. I think I think that there's almost a meta joke in this movie that I think is very unintentional. Like I don't think they intended to get here, but because Brendan Fraser does end up becoming
Right.
like more and more like Pauly Shore. There is like a it's almost like they're saying if you unfroze a caveman,
Pauly Shore is an
that's who
unfrozen
would think
caveman.
Pauly Shore is funny.
That's why you
Like
can't think of Pauly Shore as anything younger than a 40-year-old man. It's
yeah.
because he was unfrozen. He was thawed out at 40 years old, and he just adapted his way into
Frozen.
Hollywood as is now. Yeah.
Yeah.
You watch the tape.
It feels like that's what they've said. Is they've gone, yeah, like who 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 finds Pauly Shore funny? What would make Pauly Shore funny? What if you were a literal caveman
Oh
who'd
my
never
gosh.
heard a joke before?
Oh my gosh.
Then
We
Pauly Shore is
just without
hilarious.
Pauly Shore even knowing it, we just destroyed him.
Yeah, like there's no way they meant to do that, but that's
No,
literally what
literally.
happened in the movie. Like, because no one else seems to think
I
he's
have to
funny.
say that
Like
I
none of the
actually like this
characters think
movie
he's
more
funny.
than I thought I would. In the sense that I didn't realize you would have scenes where Sean Astin would be bullied on the ice rink, and then you think Brendan Fraser is going to go defend him, but then he just takes that punch and then leaves. He eats it, and I was like,
Eats
that is
it.
so
Yeah.
good.
Mm.
I mean, of course you want to watch Brendan Fraser beat the shit out of him, right? But the fact that he takes it and then he, like,
Yeah.
Sean Astin through the whole thing almost feels like the father to Brendan Fraser. He's like, I thawed you out, I discovered you, I saved you. You don't mimic me, you don't save
Yeah.
me, you don't defend me. Like he's almost having this like crisis about him, about his whole like relationship with
Yeah.
Link. We also forgot to mention that Brendan Fraser's name in this is Link. But yeah.
Tinkovich
Oh yeah, we
Chamovsky.
should calling him
But
Brendan
he
There
has
we
Fraser.
this
go.
whole thing, and then at the very end, it comes in clutch, and I was like, "That's actually really smart of the film, waiting and holding that for the end."
Hmm. Actually, you brought up a brilliant point. Can we talk about how Sean Astin is the problem in this movie? Just, just
Yeah,
an
in an
asshole.
unexpected way.
He's just an asshole.
Because
Like, I'm gonna do it.
this
Yeah.
setup, so this setup, like in a typical, like in a regular film, would be the other way around, right?
Mhm.
Like that bit at the end where he sends Link
Yeah.
away, like and Harry and the Hendersons, um, and then yeah, Pauly Shore comes out and tells him like friends don't treat each other like this or whatever. In every other film like this, that's the other way around, right? Like Sean Astin tells Pauly Shore that, um,
Right.
which it adds an
I
interesting
think
element to the film.
I think the filmmakers know that Pauly Shore is so detestable that
Made him the
somehow they
good
had to
guy.
rewrite him to be somewhat likable. Yeah. Because I think this movie does a really good job in making Pauly Shore somewhat likable, actually.
Yeah. Well, there's something about like his character's attitude to life that's quite endearing. You know, he's the only character that doesn't really
Yeah.
seem to care what other people think or what his social standing is, or whatever. That's all nice.
Yeah, also,
The issue is then he'll start talking and I'll remember it's Pauly
you
Shore.
know when he says, "Can I tell Steve Cooser?" and Dave goes, "No." Do you know who Steve Cooser is? The janitor. The janitor.
Oh, the janitor.
Is
Yes,
it?
he walks by the janitor. It's like,
Yeah.
"Stop, Steve
Oh,
Cooser,"
Yeah.
walking away. It's the janitor.
oh, I didn't notice
Yeah.
that. That was one of my favorite jokes
You
in
know
the
what's so
film before
funny
that as well. Yeah.
when he says that, when he says, "Can I tell Steve Cooser?" Like we as the audience are
Yeah.
supposed to know who that is, right? my wife goes, "Who is that?" And I go, "Honey, the art of the joke is that we don't know who that is." And then we find out, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
never mind,
Apparently, that's
never
not.
I've
mind."
shot my face. I know
It's a
nothing.
better joke if we don't know who that
Yeah.
is. Yeah. Because I genuinely found that funny. I was like, tell no one. Can I tell Steve Coogee? Like you just named a guy.
And then it's like,
Like I thought that was
Yeah.
the joke, and that's a good
tell
joke.
no one. Instantly goes and sees Robin and tells her. Dude, dick. No,
Oh, you're
like
talking about
Dave,
Link?
like instantly when he's like, "Don't tell anyone." Okay, instantly the next day at school he goes and grabs Robin to tell her to like make himself look better.
It tells you.
Yeah, but
Exactly.
who's gonna believe
No
him,
one.
right? Like
No
really,
one
really,
believing.
who's gonna believe
That is
him?
that's a really that is an element I liked about this film, like comedically as well, is that yeah, it does the usual like no one believes him. Like the few people he tells, I have a caveman. No one believes that at all. They settle into him being a foreign exchange student, and at the end of the film, there's that big reveal that he's a caveman
Everyone just starts pissing
that like
themselves.
the bully thinks is gonna. Yeah, they think that's gonna ruin his reputation, or whatever, and everyone just like, that's awesome. Like
You're gonna dance with him
we
now.
we like him more. Yeah, that's so cool. He's a caveman. That's
Yeah.
great. Like I think
Yeah.
that's so good, and also more accurate. Like if you made friends with a caveman, and then someone's like, "Do you know what's a caveman?" That
Yeah.
yeah, you wouldn't be like disgusted by him. You'd be like, "Cool."
They could have. Okay, so two things you bring up is that if this movie was made today, you could not have that ending because of Photoshop and AI, things can be digitally altered so easily, even
Hmm.
photos, right?
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
So the only way this movie was even a little bit believable is because you can't alter at that
Yeah.
time Polaroids or photos or anything like that, right? The other thing is that what could have been a smarter ending to this movie, but also probably made this movie a bit longer, is having an ET sort of ending where the government wants to come in and steal Link because he's a caveman and they want to
At the
like
end of it.
conduct studies on him. But this movie is so contained to be like within this high school and all the problems being within the
That's what
high
Dave
school.
says. Dave's like, they'll take him away
yeah. I
from
was
us.
I was very surprised. Yeah, yeah. Even the characters seem to think that's what the plot of the movie is going to be, but yeah, we just never get there.
And then when we have like the family dynamic, like Dave's family being introduced, we don't get introduced to his sister until the cooking scene where his like the kitchen is a huge mess, and
Oh,
that's like. Do you realize how long it takes for this movie to get started? They dig the pool, they go to school, they dig the pool, they uncover the guy, they go back to school, the guy's thawing out, the guy thawed out, it goes back to home. Like there's a lot of back
yeah.
and forth before this movie actually starts, and we don't get introduced to the family until we get introduced to Link. And what's funny about that is that the whole time I'm thinking this is written as if the little sister walks into the garage and
Oh
discovers
yeah.
this hulking of a man, right?
Like ET.
And I was like, yeah, exactly. And I was like, it's so weird how this character Dave doesn't have a little sister. And then as soon as I
Little sister.
thought that, boom, we're introduced to the little
Actually,
sister.
Who immediately doesn't believe him before she knows like
she's the
anything
smartest
else.
person in the movie.
Like
Can I
she's presented with a fairly plausible like scenario, and she's already like, nah, bet it's son dumber than that. Probably a caveman.
can I pull an ick from that actually? Pull an ick.
Well, it's because I mean, she's grown up with her brother, and then she knows Stony because it's her brother's friend. It's like these guys are full of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
they don't have a friend.
You don't have an exchange student.
Oh, the other funniest joke in the movie. The other funniest joke in the movie is when Pauly Shore turns to the dad and goes, inevitably I'm going to
Right.
marry your daughter and I'll be part of this family for real. I'm
That's
like, what a
not
weird
that's
thing
not
to
funny.
say.
Why would you say that about the child
Thank
opposite
you.
you? Yeah,
I was just about to say, can I say an ick? Like how old is Dave's sister? Roughly. Okay.
Like
How old are you when you're a senior
14,
in high school?
13,
Okay.
like
There you
17,
go.
18.
Who looks at a 14-year-old going, I'm gonna marry you one day. Gross. Don't do that. Nasty. Ugh.
No. I agree. It's gross, obviously, but for the comedic aspect, when he turns to the dad and the dad just
I'm
is
gonna be
like,
your family.
"Thanks," like that's hilarious to me.
Yeah.
But the parents are just so used to him being around and being like
Yeah.
such a weirdo, like they just accept it. They're just like any inane crap coming out of his mouth. They're like, yeah, okay, Stone.
They just kind of let it go, like, ha ha, hi, person.
Or was it? Don't they call him
Stanley.
Don't they call him Steve?
Stanley.
Like, isn't that his name?
And
It's his real name, yeah, Stanley.
Yeah,
He's called Stoney because
that.
so yeah, he's definitely high on it.
100%.
Yeah. There's no other reason you call him Stony.
That there lies the
Yeah.
joke.
Unless he is also a caveman, which again we theorized before.
From the
Yeah.
Stone Age.
That's the only way Dave has friends, is that he keeps having to thaw out new
Thawed out
friends.
several cavemen.
Yeah. He had to discover Link because Stony was getting sick of his bullshit, and so he was like, "Oh man, I
I
need
need
a
new
new friend."
caveman.
It's actually kind of dark if you think about it as a guy who's just trying to
100%.
abduct people to be his friend.
Dave is the real problem. Okay, I have a question, and it's more of a like.
Mm.
Did you go to prom?
No, I did not go to my senior prom. I went to
Is this
homecoming.
just a movie thing, or does it actually happen in America, where the whole dance hall forms a circle, and people just go in the middle and dance? Is that a thing? Oh my god!
Sometimes.
That sounds so fun.
I mean, I think it's more of a trope that has been adapted into real life, but I think if it's like well, okay, so we did a movie called Grind, which I don't know if you've seen, but it came out in like early 2000s, like 2003. It's a skateboarding stoner movie, and it's basically a bunch of these guys who want to get sponsored. I don't know how skateboarding really works. I still don't even after seeing this movie, but they want to get sponsored and become professional skateboarders. So they follow this other professional skateboarder around the country to try to get noticed by him.
Okay.
Again, I don't know how this works, but so it's a road trip. It's a road trip skater stoner film, and these guys end up at this like after party after a big like rad skate competition. That's a thing, and they go to this party, and the song "It's Tricky" starts playing. It's tricky to rap. Yeah. And so they all start perfectly choreography, like breakdancing together. And the whole room slides apart, like moves apart, and to like let them like perfectly synchronized dance in the middle. And then like random people start like joining in, like perfectly also in synchronized dance. And I can tell you for a fact
No, I
that
can
never
imagine
happens
that.
in real life.
Everyone in this high school is a professional dancer, don't you know?
And they all know the dance. Like they've all like it's some sort of like yeah, exactly. No,
I wonder if that's
I don't
in
know.
the Grind universe. That's the equivalent of like the Macarena.
I mean, we do that. We're both youth leaders at our church, and we have this thing yearly called Stage and Slam, and essentially there's like a few songs where we just all know the dance to, like Cotton Eye Joe, 5, 6, 7, 8, and something called the Cupid
Right.
Shuffle. But the Cupid Shuffle is literally you go to the
Shuffle,
left
yeah.
3 times, go to the right, and then it's called bounce kick. You bounce kick 4 times, and then you turn 45 degrees. That's it. The whole dance. And it's that for 3 to 4 minutes straight.
You
That's
know,
as close as we get.
well, what's funny is we
Cha-cha
have the
slide.
cha-cha.
Yeah, we got that too.
We have the cha-cha slide.
Yeah.
And so the thing about the cha-cha slide is that the song is the dance. Like
100%.
they spell it out for you, So for something like that, it's easy to see how a lot of people could like just know it. But for everyone to
Definitely going,
start,
yeah.
choreography dancing to like it's tricky to rock around, that's not it's tricky.
It was
It's
like,
yeah, that's not happening.
okay.
Oh, I will say though, like if the prom king and queen do get crowned, they do share a dance and everyone is supposed to like
See, okay,
watch them
that's the thing
dance.
at
Like that is
weddings.
a
Okay,
thing.
like they
That's
just
the
got
thing at
married.
weddings.
Yeah.
That's the thing at
Yeah.
weddings.
Like they just got
Oh
married.
wow,
Exactly. Exactly.
it's mad.
And then slowly, one by one, everyone
We
joins
have
them.
we
Yeah, I
have a
don't know.
prom. It's less. I never went to mine. I don't know if Nathan, did you go to yours?
I went to mine. I
No.
wasn't supposed to go to mine, but I went to mine. I wasn't supposed to be there,
Ours
but I
is
went.
everyone, whether you're 18 or not, getting absolutely hammered in this like hotel, dancing to songs that you know, and then
Oh wow.
there's either an after
Well,
party or you go sleep.
it exists because yeah, kids have seen American movies and went, why don't we have a prom? So they do a prom, but it's
Oh, that's funny.
without any of the traditional prom stuff because no one's gonna put their hat in the ring to be prom king or whatever, you know.
And we have like through the year
Oh,
dances,
that's funny.
like
Yeah, I
Halloween and
think
stuff like that.
you know.
Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty sure. I mean, like I said, I haven't been to high school in 15, 14. I don't even know, 13 years, right? Okay. So it's hard for me to be like
Yeah.
the precipice of like feeling the teenage pulse of America in this in this day and age. But I I think more liberal schools probably got rid of the whole
Mm.
concept of prom king and
Oh no,
queen
of
just
course,
because of
yeah.
gender conformity and stuff like that. Just but like old school schools that are still like having that, like I could see that still like religious schools, I could still see
Yeah.
that having a thing.
See, most of our
But I
schools,
don't
like
know. Again, I
the schools we all went to, like
not exactly a
they're
teenager.
mainly religious schools. One time we heard really different was like when we were in high school, our school was St David's and it was a Catholic school, and then Dalkeith, which was right next to us, was a Protestant school. And yeah, that was the only real issue. But
Ah.
yeah, like that wasn't. It was weird. It was like you don't want to learn about religion, you go to Dalkeith. If you do want to learn about religion, but then there was like kids who were not religious whatsoever who were in St David's.
I think there are just more religious. Like, yeah, you're more likely to have a school be like
Yeah.
connected to Catholicism
Well,
over here.
let me ask you this because, we don't really have, well, we have it, but it's not that common at like all boys and all girls school, but it makes it sound like the UK has like all schools are either all boys or all girls.
Oh yeah.
I know that's not true, but do you have a surplus of all gender
There
schools?
are quite a few, but you have to be like
Rich.
they're
Yeah, you're
boarding
like
schools and whatever tend to
parents are
be. Yeah,
absolutely minted.
the rich. Yeah,
That's like the mum and dad are too busy.
yeah.
Yeah, you have to be
You have to
absolutely what?
you'd have to pay to
Minted,
get
it's a
into
way of saying rich.
like a proper
Yeah,
boarding
it's
Oh,
school.
like
Yeah.
okay.
parents who can't
Well, as
look after their
yeah,
kids. So they're like, all right, just go stay over there for like 6 to 8 weeks, and then come back for like a week or so, and then go back to boarding
Ah.
school. Yeah,
the the real version of like Hogwarts, basically.
Profession of
You get
Hogwarts.
that kind of
Ah.
school would be
Uh-huh.
an
Uh-huh.
all male or all
Yeah.
female. Yeah.
Except no magic
Yeah,
powers, right?
yeah. You just learn about um, how to do banking.
Hold on, Nathan. Wait, keep in touch with your youth. Fuck. I thought I was old.
I'm just trying to think what rich kids learn. I'm not. I
Rich kids
wasn't there. I
learn
didn't go to that
to
type of
play
school.
golf while a teacher teaches economics, and they fax pictures of the bully that of the teacher that they've drawn together.
I don't think they
And
fax
dude,
anything
shut up.
anymore.
Macaulay Culkin told me.
Granted, my office
Macaulay
has a
Culkin told
fax.
me.
My office has a fax, and I'm still. I constantly make fun of my boss for having a fax machine in our office.
Surprised you still have a job.
Oh my gosh. There's this joke, and I'm just
Hmm?
trying to. I'm gonna butcher it. Are you ready for it?
Go for it.
So there's let me see if I can get this right. There's uh an Irish,
Yeah.
a Japanese man, and an American on a golf course,
Yeah.
and they're all playing golf. And in the middle of teeing up, the Irish guy says, "Okay, 1 minute. I have to take this phone call." So he puts his thumb up to his ear and his pinky up to his mouth, and he has a full on conversation. And they go, "What was that?" And he goes, "Oh, it's the new technology. They put a chip in the ear. I mean, they put a chip in the thumb, and they put a chip in your pinky, and now your hand is your phone." And both the Japanese guy and the American guy are like, "Wow, that's amazing. That's really cool." So they go to play a few more holes, and the American guy, um, I was like, "Oh, excuse me, I have a call," and he pushes his lower temple, and he has this whole conversation. And the Irish and the Japanese guy are like, "Wow, that's amazing. What is that?" It was, "Oh, they put a chip in your brain, and all you got to do is just click it, and you can take phone calls." And I go, "Wow, that's amazing." And so then, and then a couple of holes later, the Japanese guy kind of is just like standing still, and he's like kind of hiding behind a tree, and the Irish and the American guy are like, "What? Are you coming? What's like? You're up to tee off." And the Japanese guy is like, I'm just getting a fax." Huh? Huh? That's
Oh
the
God.
that's the joke.
Oh no, I got that.
Let
I
your
got that straight
imagination
away.
explode
Yep.
that one.
I was
I
under my breath. I was
figured
like,
it
"Oh
out.
God, this is gonna be so racist." That's fine. Yeah, no,
No,
yeah,
but see, what's
certainly.
lovely about it is that it's not at all. It's not a. Uh,
Oh God.
it's one of my favorite jokes because you think it's going one way, but
Yeah.
it's completely different.
Oh man.
And then I don't know why every time I've heard it, it always ends with the Japanese guy getting the facts. But I just was like, okay, that's the way it is.
Oh God.
Uh, but anyways, so yeah. Well. Anyways, listen, I actually like this movie. I thought it was like a good movie
Oh
for
no,
for
I
what it
love this
was.
movie.
I think I think now I think that segues us quite nicely into our questions that we like to wrap the show up with. So as always, two questions. We'll go through them. I can't remember. It's been a while since we've recorded with a guest. Ty, do you remember what was my thing I said again? Do we go
Let's
first or
go
does the
first.
guest go first?
Nice like that.
Guest goes first. Okay. Yes. Oh, that was it because we wanted to bully Andrew. Um. So yeah, question one is this a good movie? Basically, it's just we're a film review show, so we may as well do the bare minimum of reviewing the movie and give it a thumbs up or thumbs down. Uh, so Alan, do you wanna kick us off? Is Encino Man a good movie?
I had such low expectations for this film, and the fact that even like the outdated jokes and Pauly Shore himself could make me laugh. I have to say that thumbs up. However, there is a lot of stuff in this film that did not work. And I felt the ending introducing the woman caveman was
Mm.
so rushed, you know?
Yeah.
Uh but but I liked it. Like I'm not going away thinking, "Oh, I just watched a bad film." So, thumbs up from me.
Okay. Ty.
Yes. Yes,
Ty,
it
is this
is.
a good movie?
Love this movie. It's Brendan Fraser. Why can you not like this movie? Yep.
Is that your
Go
whole
on,
answer?
Nathan.
It's distinct. Yeah, my turn. Yeah, I don't like this movie. I'm gonna be honest. Um, I I think both of your tolerance for Pauly Shore is just higher than mine.
I
I found
understand
this.
that. I understand. But what about the
Gonzagas.
Zunkas, huh?
Yeah, go with that. That didn't it didn't help
Gonzagas.
my enjoyment of this film. That's the other thing with our modern remake. There's a few things that'll
Yeah,
probably need to be
that's rapey. I can't do that.
worked around. Yeah. Uh, but we can talk all day about whether or not a movie's any good or not. What does that make us? What does that make us?
Hmm.
IGN? That's a
Does
video
that make us
games.
Rotten Tomatoes?
What's a
Like,
movie one? Rotten
It's
Tomatoes.
Rotten Tomatoes, yeah.
I'm really good at podcasting.
okay, buddy, I'll make you better.
Yeah, what are we Rotten Tomatoes? There you go. Yeah, to edit so I say the right
You're an
thing.
idiot. You're getting. Let's just get
Um,
kicked.
but it does all of this is very good. But that's not us. We are midnight screening and guest. um, so the important thing is this a midnight screening? We'll kick off in the same order. Alan, would you say Encino Man would work as a movie night movie?
I think with a certain crowd it might, but as we get farther and farther away from the original release date, I think it becomes less and less of something you can sit around with your friends and watch, if that makes sense. I think like I watched it with my wife and I was like, would I watch this with like a group of people? Probably not. Probably not. Even though like I don't think it's a bad movie, I think it was fun. I just don't think I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea. So I don't think people like you would be taking a risk of your other people that you invite to go see it getting the same enjoyment out of it than you. And because it's kind of a well done movie, it's not so bad it's good. There's not a lot to make fun of except
Mm.
for maybe, a
Point.
couple of jokes here and there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think that's a
Yeah.
good point. Ty,
I'm gonna go with
Ty, is this
yes.
a midnight screening?
I can understand where Alan's coming from, but my friend group
Okay.
in particular, we'd have fun watching this movie. So, screening. Better's a tough
You
one.
have better
Nathan's my
friends than
friend,
me.
and then Josh, and then like a couple others, and we've all kind of got the same. We watched me, Nathan, and our other friend Jack got drunk and watched The Room together.
Yeah.
Survived The Room together. We could survive California, man. Just
Yeah. To be fair, that was
But the room
we
is
we
so
got
good.
drunk to watch The Room as
yeah,
research for our guest appearance on SP Film Viewers. So
so
we're
professional.
so
Oh my
we're
god.
such professionals.
Nathan, is this a midnight screening?
um,
Ah,
I'm gonna go with no. Uh, on the personal level of I genuinely don't think I can sit through this again. Like, regardless of context, I don't think I'm
wow,
getting through Encino Man all the way through.
that's amazing.
Um, so for that reason, I have to say no. Out of midnight screening is my thing. I stole the phrase and then changed it slightly from a real concept, but it's my thing, and I'm not hosting that movie night.
Yeah, that's fair.
So there you have it. That's
I
Yeah,
another
you
movie
guessed.
reviewed, I guess. This isn't how the outro. This isn't how the outro goes. I don't know why I'm saying it. All that's left to do is to say thank you for everyone for listening. If you're listening to this on Spotify or another podcast platform, you can find us on YouTube on the Nathan Needs username channel, so you can subscribe to that if you want, and vice versa. If you're one of our YouTube listeners, you want to hear us on the go, you can do that. We're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, and all those places. You can find us there. Of course, I need to thank
Hmm.
Ty once again for being here for another episode and for editing our show. Uh, and most importantly, thank you to Alon from I Finally Watched for being here. Tell them where can they find you?
Oh yeah, so I finally watched is my movie podcast that I co-host with my co-host David, who was supposed to be here, but unfortunately his wife had other plans. um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, we we're everywhere. We're a podcast you can listen to on Apple, Spotify, Outcast, anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find us. You can even tell your Alexa, "Hey Alexa, play the I Finally Watched podcast," and she will do it. Um,
You just made everyone's
yeah.
Alexa play
So
your show.
No, I want that.
good,
I
good.
want that. That's amazing.
But yeah,
Doing
so
that.
no, it was awesome having being on with you guys. It was a lot of fun. Love talking about Encino Man. Love the different opinions that we all had. And then as far as social medias, is Twitter is our big thing. So we're at finally watched because at I finally watched was already taken.
Ooh.
So yeah, so at finally watched, you can find us on Twitter, and we love to interact with guests and to take recommendations because we had a recommendation to do Starship Troopers, and that's the episode that comes out for us tomorrow. So yeah,
Oh,
so yeah.
oh, it's so
So yeah,
good.
and actually, our guest
I love
on our
that movie.
Starship Trooper episode is from Scotland.
Hey,
So
there you go.
yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, no, thank you guys. Thanks once again for
Oh,
having
yeah,
me on.
thanks for being here. All those links for our stuff and
it was a
for I
pleasure.
Finally Watched will be in the description or in the show notes, depending where it is you're listening. If you want to check them out, and that's the show. Yeah, that's